Colin, or Colm in Northern Ireland writes, "Hey Paul, have you ever experienced a palpable sound image that includes sound in front of the speakers? When I play the Kraftwerk track Radioactivity on vinyl from the album of the same name at about 2.06 minutes into the side one, a rhythm sound starts on the right-hand channel, and this sound always appears to be in front of the loudspeaker, almost to the immediate right of my listening position. The rest of the soundstage is as expected, arrayed behind the speakers. I was wondering if you played the same track on your system, what would you hear?" Well, okay, soundstage in front. Well, as most of us know, and by the way, before we get started, you might read, for those of you that have read my book, Emians, the Aurora Project, which, by the way, I got to tell you, not to toot my horn here, but the Aurora Project made, well, we made number 2 the last time I checked on the bestseller list in Amazon. Kind of cool, an action thriller. So that's kind of cool. And Emians, you know, it's all about the, if you remember, the original book, The Aurora Project, was all about the 100,000 years ago when there was a civilization, a modern civilization known as the Emian, and that's what the book's all about. And the last book, the 4th book, is coming out, I don't know, I'm so close to finishing it. I'm kind of stuck right now. Anyway, this is the chair that I bought at this antique shop, and Terry absolutely hates it. She wants me to dump the thing, and I like it. It sits in my office. If you ever come in, it's sitting here in the corner. It looks, I don't know. Anyway, Terry hates it. I don't know why I keep it here, but I can't get rid of it. What were we talking about? Soundstage, palpable image, out in front. Okay, so we know that in a properly set up stereo, most music that is recorded will appear from behind the loudspeakers, and that's where it should be. And we've talked about why that is for many years. Okay. And yes, I have heard in some instances, and I'll tell you a few. I haven't listened, I apologize. I just didn't have the time to listen to that track. And I've heard palpable imaging in front of the speakers on a number of occasions. So here's how that happens. Oftentimes, when we're recording, let's say at Octave Records, if one of the things I'll notice is if I get the microphone too close to a performer, whether it's their guitar or their voice, you get this proximity effect. You can kind of hear it in my voice as I'm kind of muffling it, but it's more than just muffled. It's called the proximity effect, and if you get too close, what happens to the imaging is it's all of a sudden scrunches up and it sounds like it's right in the speaker. And if you do it right, if you do it with intent, you can actually make it come out in front of the loudspeaker. And it's a combination of, in the mixing process, of how close you are to the microphone and some other aspects that we probably don't even need to go into right now. But trust me, that can happen. It's not something that I particularly like to do when I record something at Octave Records. And recording at Octave Records has become a pretty big part of my life. I mean, when I come to work, I truly enjoy going to the studio, immersing myself in the music. I mean, think about it. Terry came over the other day. We had a really cool jazz group in the tracking room. Everything's set up, did all the work, got all the stuff going. And in the control room, it was, 2 o'clock in the afternoon. We had a little lunch. We got some sushi over at Whole Foods, and we're sitting there eating, being serenaded by live music, by musicians, 20 feet away from us. We're the only people in this whole thing, and we're just sitting here looking at each other and going, is this real? This is so cool. But anyway, when we do that sort of thing, we really like to present the soundstage behind the speakers as if the musicians were actually playing. So that's the holy grail for us to be able to make it like, and I'm going to tell you one other real quick story. those same musicians came back in the evening and were playing. And one of them, the guitar player, wanted to hear the recording in the mix room. So we have a tracking room, which is where the musicians play. We have a control room, which is where we do all the preamps and all of that stuff and make the actual recording. And then we transferred over to the mix room. And the mix room has a full Aspen FR30, BHK 300s. I mean, it's a beautiful system over there. And we play it back on essentially what you're going to listen to it on, which is what Octave Records is all about. And it can be scary real at times. I mean, most people haven't heard anything like that. Most people listen to commercial recordings that have been, I call them sanitized. I call them overly scrubbed. And I see engineers doing this all the time. They scrub these things down to some form of perfection that just sounds like a commercial recording. They're great, but they sound like a scrubbed commercial recording. I don't want that. Terry doesn't want, none of us do. What we want is to close our eyes and imagine the musicians right there in all their glory, if you will. Anyway, so we pulled him in, and Jamie, I think his name was, no, Julian, sorry, memory, played it for him, and he got kind of upset. He just said, I've never heard anything like this. I said, well, good, that's cool. That's kind of what we're, you know. He goes, no. It's so real, I feel like I'm naked. I feel like you've exposed everything. It's like, you know, he liked, and I don't blame him, he liked the safety of this ultra scrubbed music you get out of commercial studios. And this was unnerving for him. Now, he's since gotten used to it and kind of likes it, but I thought that was really, really interesting. But we got off on a lot of subjects. I'm sorry, I don't even remember where we started. Oh yeah, sound staging out in front. All right, enough of me. Take it easy. Talk to you tomorrow. Bye.